Hi everyone, Railman28 here, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Wrestling with Railman28. But guys, I'm afraid I'm not going to ring the bell tonight. Sorry, I can't ring the bell. Because tonight I'm feeling a bit up and down a little bit. So, to start with, I got my shirt. I'd like to say a big thank you to EWE, big shout out to those guys who put their bodies on the line every time they wrestle for entertainment, for your entertainment. And I enjoy the shows every time I go. But also, I'm looking forward to joining the industry, which I'm not sure of joining yet, but I'm going to try and find a training place, go back to the gym and start training up to be a wrestler, of course. That's the proper tone, I should put it. Now, to kickstart everything off, the first match was Captain Steve Antonio versus Big Roy Wavy Johnson. That was the match worth watching. It was an incredible match. Incredible. Big shout out to the two guys who were wrestling this evening. I enjoyed it. Fantastic. So, Captain Antonio, the pirate, won that match, so congratulations to him. Next up, after that, we had, before all of that match kicked off, it was Lewis Basham coming out to address us all. I would have thought Terence Thatcher would have been on the mic this evening, but he wasn't. Basham, yet again, overstepped his power, which to me is abuse of power, in my opinion. As commissioner of EWE, he did exactly that. He overstepped his power by hiring as general manager for EWE, William Hudson Alexander Moore. Why would he do that? I don't know. But Moore, he was overstepping his power way too far as general manager. He tried to challenge Basham to a title match, and of course Basham didn't let him, because William Hudson Alexander Moore tried to get him to give him his heavyweight title belt, but Basham refused. I knew for a start, Basham and Wham are not going to get along. But Wham thinks he owns everything. He thinks that Basham works for him when it's the other way around. I can see those two clashing at some point. I can see those two turning on each other. And I can see Basham firing Alexander Moore as general manager for overstepping his power. And of course, challenging, stepping up to the entourage. And of course, next match we had Buff Broadside versus Jay Morgan. It was good, in my opinion. And I enjoyed that match. And of course Wham, Mr. Moore, turned it into a submission-only match to make things more interesting. And, to be honest, I thought it was going to be a nice, normal match. But it weren't. It was a submission match. So, Buff did everything he can to knock out Jay Morgan. And he did extremely well by doing that. He knocked out Jay Morgan, got Jay Morgan to tap out, which he did. Jay Morgan did, and then it all kicked off with Fentos coming out and beating up Buff. To be honest, I did not like it. I did not like that at all. Fentos just beat it up Buff, And all the entourage came to beat up Buff with Cuban heat. They grabbed steel chairs. Well, Wham grabbed steel chairs, overstepping his power. That's abuse of power right there. That was abuse of power. And I just did not like what he did. But luckily, because Buff was defenseless, Cuban Heat did not want to do it. I can tell he did not want to pull the trigger on Buff. But then Wham pushed Cuban Heat into the corner, grabbed the chair and hit Buff in the ankle. But then, luckily enough, who came to his rescue? Because I called out Arcadius. I called his name and he came. Like I summoned the beast. So, Wham, if you want to know who summoned him, it was me. I summoned him to the ring. And I said for him to rescue Buff. So, I don't care if he got fired or arrested. Arcadius made the great save and used his move on Fentos. But before that happened, we had the tag match. It was Project Mayhem versus, well, you know, you can guess. Fentos, Cuban Heat, the Entourage. And it all went down really well. Fentos, he gets on my nerves, he does. I was hoping he would turn on Balham as well, because he deserves a heavyweight title shot. But that's not the case. Fentos is a villain like Cuban Heat, Jay Morgan, the rest of the entourage, they're villains. We have to boo them. They're a disgrace to EWE. The entourage, they're a disgrace. Charlie Biggs should pay more attention to Balham now, because Charlie Biggs, if you're hearing this, if you're listening to this, please do something about it. Get Arcadius out of jail and back in the ring. Because even though Wham fired him, that was overstepping his mark. It's not his job to fire anyone. It's the commissioner's job. So, and Balham talks about justice, law and order. What about the injustice that Buff suffered? What about that? Huh? Oh, I hope Buff's okay. And I hope he does come back. Even though he won't come back next show, which is Halloween Bash. DesignMyNight.com, Halloween Bash. That's the next show, 27th of October. Go to DesignMyNight.com. Tickets go on sale. Please purchase them. You'll love them. And it will be in the description below. So after the match between Jay and Buff was sent to hospital, Arcadius was arrested, as far as we're concerned, during the break. And I was hoping Wham would get his head kicked in, which I hope he did. So, after all of that, the next half of the show started with a fatal four-way match between Don Fury, Theodore Powers, and Leapfrog and Ricardo Borg for the number one contenders match for the EWE Light Heavyweight Championship against Yaya the next show. And Ricardo Borg, my dear friend, the dark Ricardo Borg, won that match. Theodore Powers, I'm going to have to make a complaint against Powers now, because he put his middle finger in front of my face, tells me to F off. And I really want to get my own back on him. If he ever faces another person at the next show, I want that person to let me chop Theodore once and for all, to show him not to mess with me again, because he just done it again. Enough for all of that. So it was a fatal 4-way match. Great, interesting. Theodore Powers, I've got a funny feeling he's not liking William Hudson Alexander Moore very much. So after that number 1 contenders match, Ricardo Borg just turned on Yaya, who was the special guest referee. Yaya was the special referee, and I enjoyed it when he's the special referee. I could have brought Law and Order to that match. But, as always, it's chaos. Project Mayhem against the Entourage won that won a match as well. It was a number 1 contenders match for the EWE Tag Team Championships, which Balham and Wham won at the station during September, which, in my view, well, they must have cheated their way up to that level. But, what can I say? Congratulations to Jacob Sullivan and the immortal Devious Danny. I hope they kick the living hell out of Balham and Wham next month. But somehow, the show needs an acting general manager and an MC. I'm willing to do that. So, EWE, send me an email and I'll get back and I'll see what I can do that evening. Excuse me. Next we came to the main event. Yeah, before we get to the main event, as I said, my view on Balham and Wham, they overstepped their powers. Abuse of power, to be honest. This is a battle for power and responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. And of course, I really want Charlie Biggs to come back for the next show. Hopefully he'll get things started, because he needs to run the show now, because he's the only one that can stop Balham and Wham from abusing their powers. And of course, he's the owner of EWE. And I love the place. So, the main event. We come to Alexander Roth, the Wolf of Ball Street, the Multiverse Champion, the longest reigning defending light heavyweight champion of the world. Alexander Roth faced the Law Lewis Balham for the EWE Heavyweight Championship. I enjoyed that match. And of course, Balham, did he overstep his power, threatening the ref to dismiss him from his duties if he started counting. Then Balham turned the match into a no count out match. So that meant Roth could beat him down all over the place. And to be honest, Balham walked past me and told me to shut my mouth as well. Balham's starting to make me angry now. He really is. He's a guy who thinks he could bring law and order to EWE. Well, to be honest, the reign of law and order should be brought to an end. A complete end. I want Buff Broadside back as commissioner now. Things were not the same. I want OVW back in EWE. I want other wrestlers, international talent, to face Balham or something, to face other superstars in EWE. And of course, I like to assist Clive Jackson. Jack, of course, I like to assist him as commentator. And maybe attend the commentator's table to talk with Clive Jackson. And of course, I'll be known as Terry the Steam Train, which that's my official title now, Terry the Steam Train. So, before we get to the end of the match, guys, let me do this promo addressing Lewis Balham and William Hudson Alexander Moore. Hey you two, this is Terry the Steam Train here. Don't you both forget what I saw this night at Aftermath. I saw both of you abusing your power in EWE. And Charlie Biggs, I hope he sees that as well, so he can come to the next show and run the show. And of course, since William Hudson Alexander Moore and of course Balham will defend their tag team championships, it's time for a new general manager to be appointed, a temporary general manager, and I elect me. And if Charlie Biggs comes down, I want him to choose me, because I can run the show temporarily. I'll just arrange the match and make the stipulation, because the next show, Halloween Bash, which I appropriately named it, anyone who gets, it's a trick or treat competition. Anyone who gets the treat gets to pick the stipulation for the next match. So, I'll be looking forward if I chose that. If I get to choose a stipulation, I'll do it for the main event. I'll go for that. It'll be William Hudson Alexander Moore versus William Hudson Alexander Moore and Balham defending their tag team championships against Project Mayhem. And of course, it's going to be a tables ladder match. Tables and ladders match. A TLC match. That's what I would like for that match. A TLC match. And of course, I want Arcadius back in the show, facing Fentos. And of course, I would like to chop Fentos when I get a chance. And that was Terry the Steam Train, guys. That was my character, which I like to be. So, go to designmynight.com, guys, and get your tickets. The link will be in the description below. Big shout out to EWE. So, right, to the end of the match. We come to the end of the match, of course, where Wham overstepped his power too far. Where he just distracted Roth and Balham got the win. But before all of that, it was chaos. The entourage got involved. It was Fentos and Cuban Heat. They got involved. And luckily enough, Project Mayhem came to Roth's aid to prevent anything from happening to their tutor. So, I'm going to be supporting Project Mayhem for the next show. I'll stand in for Roth to congratulate Jacob Sullivan and the immortal Devious Danny. It's time for them both to be true superstars. And when Mr. Moore said to them, "Is it past your bedtime?" calls them kids. Excuse me. They're grown men. They're men like anyone else. They're men like you and me. Men like anyone else. Then after the match, Roth lost the match, which I wasn't expecting. To be honest, I wasn't expecting that. So that was the show, guys. I enjoyed it. I was happy to see my friend Ricardo Borg there. I'm starting to miss Anna now. I'm starting to miss Goldilocks there. And I hope she gets to wrestle one day in a ring against someone. But next show, I would like to see a women's division match. I'd like to see Sky Smithson versus Artemis once again in a rematch. That would be fantastic. But actually, I like to see Violet Knight versus Cuban Heat next show. because she deserves a rematch after that dirty pin, and I like to appoint myself as special guest referee because I need to be a referee in one of these matches. And of course, I want justice for Buff Broadside. So Buff, get well soon, mate. I hope you're okay. And Arcadius, love you, Arcadius, love you lots. And Bullet, and I hope Bullet makes an appearance at the next show. So that was the episode of Wrestling with Railman28, guys, and I'm not ringing the bell because I'm a bit down at the moment. I'm going to calm down a bit, and I'm going to hopefully get a nice comment from EWE officials, hoping they'll grant me permission to be a special referee, which I would love to be. I would like to be the special referee for Yaya and Ricardo Borg's match. I'd love to be a special referee for them, because Ricardo's going to need someone he knows, and so is Yaya. So that's what I'd like to do. So I'm volunteering to do that. I'll see you guys next time. And I know the next Train Simulator video, I'm not going to do one for Mayflower because there was a train that's already been done for David Buck, who sadly passed away. I was going to do a run, but actually I'm going to do something else instead now. I could do a run with Mayflower on the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway route. That would be nice. I could do that. So, have a nice evening, guys. Speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.